This is an interview with Mac Farhnam at the University of Minnesota. Mac, great to have you here, and I just want to ask you a few questions about your recent trip and involvement with the Global Initiative for Food Systems Leadership. First of all, tell us about your role at the University of Minnesota.
Well, thanks for having me, Bob. And my role here at the University of Minnesota, I'm a resident in veterinary public health with the Center for Animal Health and Food Safety, which is kind of the birthplace of the Global Initiative for Food Safety Leadership. My role here as a resident is to participate in lots of wide variety of topics. I'm working on projects currently with bovine TB, which we have in northwestern Minnesota. I've taken this recent trip with the GIFSL project to tour a delegation of Chinese food safety officials across Europe. I'm also working on some USDA APHIS projects with considering foot and mouth disease preparedness and response planning and business continuity planning for some of our industry partners. Already I've just been in the residency program for about 6 months. I've already completed a 3-month stint at the Minnesota Department of Health working with their infamous team diarrhea, which they use to track foodborne disease in people. Some of the other projects I've been involved in the Public Health Institute with the School for Public Health here at the university. And so, yeah, you can see it's just a real wide variety of duties and projects, and that's what attracted me to the residency program.
There's a variety of programs that are offered through GIFSL, and you just recently spent a couple of weeks on a program throughout Europe and in the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with that program?
With this program, we started off at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Rome. We had speakers from the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, Codex Alimentarius, SPS agreements, InfoSan, a bunch of different intergovernmental organizations, agencies that are interested in protecting the food supply and public health, and it's kind of blossomed from there. So we went from there in Rome to Brussels, Belgium. We did several site visits of different companies. Vion, TrustQ hosted us at a feed mill plant, and TrustQ is a kind of very interesting organization. They brought together 8 different vehement competitors to form a organization that's geared towards ensuring food safety across their supply chain. We also visited the European Commission in Brussels, where we met with some pretty senior advisor types, and they spoke to us on trade agreements and the necessities for harmonization across the food across the industries and governments and intergovernmental organizations.
I want to know what you have gained from your participation in that program and other similar programs.
Right. So, I've talked with the director, Will Houston, about this a little bit, and I was much more excited to learn from this course from our Chinese counterparts, because as you guys well know, China's the largest country in the world population-wise, and no matter how we like to look at it, I believe that they really have faced many of the problems we've been discussing with them over these couple weeks, and in their own way. And I think that we have a lot that we can learn from them. So I was really excited to meet with these folks and learn what I could from them too. I thought that I gained a lot more than I gave.
So that's a really interesting comment, and I want to ask you, as far as the insights that you gained from these Chinese delegates, there were 17 of them. What insights will you bring back with you as you come back to the United States and continue your education?
Well, one of the main points we kept going back to again and again through this course is the need for clear and concise communication, and it just doesn't just have to do with translating from English to Chinese or some of the other languages we were exposed to during our Europe trip. It's more of just an understanding and a commonality of terminology. We came to loggerheads with common terms such as food safety, food quality, food security, and food defense. Some of our Chinese colleagues also struggled with definitions of what a verified or accredited system is, and how do you verify an accredited system, and just some of the distinctions of what these different terms mean. And that kind of brought to light for me that as you're trying to define these terms to somebody else that has a different primary language, that we don't always fully have those terms down even amongst our English-speaking colleagues. So it's important to at least have that common starting point.
That's a really interesting insight, and I want to go back to kind of the future of this initiative. What do you see happening with the Global Initiative for Food Systems Leadership? How does the program that you were just on play into that, and what future collaborations do you foresee happening?
Right. Well, this particular program, I believe, is what we term a pilot program. So we're definitely hoping that it'll be successful, and that we'll continue it. I think there's plans to, if this one is deemed successful, to continue it at least for another 5 years. But I certainly think that it's meant to become somewhat self-sustaining, and that as we get more partners involved, and more interest from other countries as well as China and the Netherlands and the European Commission, I think there's already a lot of excitement generated just from this initial pilot. So.
Well, thank you, Mac. We really appreciate you sharing that with us and sharing your excitement.
Thank you, Bob.